Hello everybody, and just here and welcome back to Majo to Yajuu episode 5, in which we will see the continuation of the story of Fanora and Johan, which is still very interesting to me, that we just completely switched our main characters just like that, randomly, in episode 4. Speaking of, what happened in episode 4 exactly? Well, Guido and Ashaf made it to some city that apparently has an issue with the undead. As it turned out, the undead are not a secret, right? Necromancy isn't something forbidden, something that only, I know, some deviants do. It's not a dark art or anything of the sort. No, it's just a normal branch of magic like anything else. And the police knows who the undead are. There are protocols around stray undead, etc., which is... it alone is just immensely cool. It's an extremely fresh approach to the subject of necromancy and undead people. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know, we'll see, Ashaf is not a specialist when it comes to necromancy. So, to help the city, he called in reinforcements from the organization, those reinforcements being Fanora, Christoffel, and Johan. Fanora is, I believe... I mean, right now, we are led to believe that Fanora is the necromancer and Johan is just her servant, but something tells me that the roles might actually be reversed. Not roles might be reversed, the roles are clear, right? Fanora is the mistress and Johan is the servant. But something tells me it might be Johan who is the necromancer and Fanora is an undead that Johan has as his familiar, because undead are kind of sort of treated as familiars. They need maintenance from the necromancer, or else they start falling apart, their mind starts deteriorating, etc. Which, again, it's super cool that we actually get like full-blown necromancy branch of magic instead of just dismissing it as a dark art. Nobody does it, nobody should do it, it's forbidden, and that's that. They find out that there is plenty of stray undead in the area who were just resurrected, probably against their will, and left alone, left to fend for themselves. Most of them are red-headed women, which is interesting. We know that the title of the episode is Beauty and Death, I believe, and the necromancer that we see glimpses of briefly has a penchant for red-headed women. And they pick up the trail of this necromancer, find that he is together with the police, with Jeff Enker, I believe, is one of the policemen. Together with him, they find where the necromancer is. Johan gets seemingly, supposedly killed by one of the undead that the necromancer controls as a means of forcing Fanora and the policeman to enter the mansion, because if they don't, then the necromancer will just leave Johan to rot, and if they do, he can still save him. And that's where we are left off, with Johan being dead or dying, Fanora and Jeff, or whoever else the policeman is, entering the mansion, and another policeman being somewhere. There was a second one, but he just kind of split away. I don't know where he is. Maybe he went for reinforcements, maybe he went to notify Ashaf and Guido, because something tells me that Fanora will need help. Something tells me she will, unless they have some trick up their sleeve, like Johan actually being an undead and he wasn't actually killed, he's just gonna regenerate quickly and smack the necromancer in the head from the back, and that's gonna be the end of it. I don't know. I don't know. We will see all about it in this episode. So how about we just start watching it, right? To do it, you will need your subs to follow along with me. I'm gonna need my sound to hear what's going on in the show, and I'm gonna have to ask you for support. Support the channel if you want monetarily on Patreon or YouTube down below, or not. Share my content, spread the word. It costs you absolutely nothing and helps the channel a lot. And now we can start watching episode 5 of Majo to Yajuu in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, we get a little bit of a recap. Yeah, Jeff and Kerr. Right, and this is the fiancée of Jeff who passed away, and they decided to not resurrect her. And he's of the opinion that resurrected people are no longer themselves. Yep. Did we really need the recap? Again, I'm not a huge fan of recaps. Like, it makes sense when we have like a split core, for example, right? It makes sense when, I don't know, we had a bunch of filler episodes and we need to get on track with the main story, so we get a recap of what happened on the main story last, right? But in a seasonal show like that, that didn't get a break, didn't get any like a compilation episode or anything of the sort, recap doesn't really make much sense, does it? Yeah, my tea is way too hot to drink. Oh, a fire? Is that where Jeff's fiancée died? Oh, that's the necromancer, isn't it? Yep. You can tell by the lips. Family member? Right, he's somehow obsessed with beauty. Undead maids, I would assume, of course. Either that or it's an act. And she's not actually afraid of Johann. For Johann. About Johann. Statues or actual undead ordered to not move? And we still don't see his face. What's so important about his face that we only see it like briefly on the side? Yes, yes, they are. Oh, right, but neither of those people are complete. Yeah. There is no maintenance involved. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he just has them for their perceived beauty. And, they don't need a functional liver to be beautiful, do they? Great lips on this man, I gotta say. Oh? A prize? Yeah, first time we hear that. But being brought back as an undead rips them out of the cycle? Mm-hmm. They don't resurrect. Okay. Well, resurrect. Go into the cycle of rebirth. Just the void. Yep. Apparently, yeah. So either you resurrect someone and you fucking commit to keeping their mind alive and well, or you don't resurrect them. Fuck you, I got mine, essentially. Meaning what exactly? My neighbor just started smacking the wall with a hammer. Hopefully my mic doesn't pick it up. Yeah, everything should be fine, right? If you can just resurrect her. And the skeleton was no longer beautiful. Right, so he wants a beautiful body to put his beloved soul into. And we see his face, and it's not any sort of a big reveal. Why hide it? I mean, yeah. Does he need more? Oh, taxidermy. What would that entail? Because you could, like, take a photo of her if you want to use her beauty as a base. Okay, yeah, so she was just playing along. Now you figured it out. Take control of your maids, maybe, or something like that. Oh, cold air. I thought just she breathes out the cold air, but apparently she lowers the temperature in her immediate vicinity. Hmm? Guido? Is that you? Ah. Yeah, we've seen those runes on Ashav, we've seen those eyes on Guido. What's their significance? Okay! A witch is working for their organization. Ha! Huh. What does Guido think of it, I wonder? I somehow doubt it's going to be hard for her. Hmm? I wonder now. The eyes. Could it be that Guido is a witch herself? Oh, those are very interesting undead. Combat models, gotcha. Yeah, they're just a mass of rotting flesh, one way or another. No, I don't think so. Oh, is she gonna give them their minds back? And they're just gonna revolt against the necromancer? I guess she has her own combat models. Everything else is fair game. That's great. Easy. Not even breaking a sweat. Not that they have sweat glands. That's a lot of blood. Can maybe you resurrect her at least? Or, I don't know, something. Since she cannot go back to the cycle of rebirth anyway, right? Might as well just resurrect her. Are you gonna use your beloved's body to fight? You must have really loved her, my dude. Didn't you? Hello, Johan. Who says he's alive? Exactly. A great effect on his voice because his, throat was cut. So of course it's gonna have effect on his voice. Oh. Enlighten me, please. Ah, okay, so like a step above a normal undead. Interesting. Not resurrected with necromancy, but rather with witchcraft. Huh. I'm built different. And why would he? Kill him, resurrect him, then kill him again so that he gets to be in the void. And not in the cycle of reincarnation. Yep. Or just good old torture. I guess that also works. Damn. Just ripped off his skin and all. Hmm. You were very meticulous stripping his lips off. Hmm. Hmm. Oh, so there is a possibility to save them. How would that look? What would that entail? Sacrificing his soul in exchange for the souls of all of his undead? Or that? Turned you into an undead. A witch's familiar. Yep, fate worse than dead. Than death, isn't it? You wish you were in the void. Or close to it, at least. Hmm. I mean, besides that, it's better for her to be alive, undead, rather than end up in the void, isn't it? Oh, possessive are we? I mean, he's not a undead. He's a witch's undead, so it's a little bit different. I would imagine. Go and look for the bags. Oh, okay, sure, okay. Hmm. I don't know what to think of this episode. Like, I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong, but I really feel like it lacked substance. Or, well, how do I put it? It was a side quest, ultimately, right? I guess that's why I feel it lacked substance, because it didn't really move the what was established as the main driving story, Guido looking for the witch. It didn't move that storyline whatsoever. I don't know. I guess it was decently important from a storytelling standpoint. Oh, and we're gonna meet this guy. Sure. from like a world building standpoint, because we know that the ice and the runes are a characteristic of a witch, which is interesting because Ashaf has the runes and Guido has the ice. So what gives? Let's watch it again though. Yeah, that's the recap. Mirei Elisha bring you back with flawless beauty. So he's just obsessed with beauty. That's like that's his only motivation. His beautiful beloved was burnt to a crisp, so he's looking for a new body for her so that she can still be beautiful. That's all. That's it. Nothing like particularly sinister about it, except the way he went about it. That is, of course. I thought those were just undead who were ordered to be still, but no, those are just taxidermied women. This, like, really... This really makes me wonder. This really stumps me. Why were they hiding his face constantly? And then we just see his face and it does absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Like, if he had cat eyes, we would be led to believe that, oh, maybe he's a witch or has ties to a witch. If he turns out to be, I don't know, similar to Jeff, it turns out that he's Jeff's father, or something like that. Usually when a face of a character is obstructed, it's for a reason. Either for dramatic effect, when that face is revealed and it turns out that, oh, this amazing swordmaster actually was blind all this time, right? Or, oh, he has the same heterochromic eyes that some other character. They must be related somehow. Or, oh, their left eye is the demon eye of the demons of the dark, and that's the big reveal. Not so much in this case. He's just a dude. He's just a dude. I guess one explanation I can find is a stylistic choice, right? We keep the aura of mystery around him. We keep the aura of this sort of, I don't know, secret power, I guess you could say. And now they switched from hammers to jackhammers, seemingly. And again, hopefully you don't hear it, but if you do, I'm sorry for my neighbors. God fucking damn it. The undead person's mind fails to return. Yeah. They are all undead. Takes a ton of magical energy. But yeah, not so much if you just resurrect them and stop giving a fuck about them. Then it takes no effort, no magic, or very little, at least. It's the maintenance, it's the continued maintenance over those undead that takes the magic power. Not just the act of resurrection. You can resurrect a mass of shambling bones, and it's just gonna cost you an hour worth of magic. You're gonna take a nap and you're gonna be right as rain, right? But if you want to keep them human-like, if you want to keep them functional, that takes energy. And since he's focusing on the looks, not so much on the functionality, he doesn't care that their pancreas are rotten and that they're missing both lungs. All that matters is a pretty face. The rest can be covered with clothes, even. All strays on semi-auto. This is interesting. After death, the soul begins preparing for reincarnation, but the act of resurrection rips them out of that cycle and they cannot return. Yeah, they cannot return to the cycle. They just go into the void. No motion, no pain, no light, no sound, no heat. Just a sensory deprivation chamber for all eternity, and you keep your mind. Probably the worst possible fate. Honestly, probably the worst possible fate. An eternity of nothingness. To accept death and await reincarnation, or to regain a temporary life in exchange for fate crueler than death. Yeah, that's a big, you know, that's a big balance, and I guess it explains why reincarnation isn't like more widespread. Because if reincarnation is just resurrection by a necromancer, if it's just a thing, if it's just well known, if it has no downsides, why is not everybody getting resurrected? Right? There would probably be whole entire like funds where you can pay, I don't know, $50 a month, and in the event of your death, they take money from that fund and they resurrect you. They pay to a necromancer and he resurrects you, and you're right as rain, and death means nothing. Right? You would expect it would be a thing with necromancy so widespread, but no, there's a downside. There's a downside. Because when you die for the second time, you do not get to resurrect, you do not get to even vanish, disappear, cease to exist. No, your mind in a void. That's what awaits you for all eternity. And eternity is a pretty damn long time. And of course he has the approach of fuck you, I get mine. He doesn't care about his beloved even, if you can call her his beloved. If he can even feel love and not just fascination with her beauty. I have a feeling it's the latter. I have a feeling our guy here is just a psychopath who doesn't give a fuck about anybody else, and he's just obsessed with beauty, and that's all that matters. And yeah, he just wants beauty. But she got burned to a crisp, so she needs a new body. And my cat is here, already demanding pets. Give me a moment. Give me a moment. I'm gonna stop recording and I'm gonna take care of you. And yeah, very... how do I even call it? Very... puny? Oh, not the correct word to use here. A very weak justification, a very weak motive, but it really makes him all the worse of a villain, doesn't it? There we go. He didn't even have any good reason to do that. No desire for power, no desire for eternal life, nothing. Just beauty. I knew a beautiful woman and she died and I want to see her beauty again. And that's it. That's all the reason he has. Enough? I guess so. I played along. Yeah, that was apparent from the very get-go. Or, it wasn't apparent, but I had a hunch. I had a hunch that this is the case, that she's just playing along, that Johann's death doesn't actually affect her that much. She's just playing along to get to know the motivations of the perpetrator, to get into the same room as him, right, to get access to him. You must be a necromancer indeed. As long as rules bind you. Right, they don't. I'm not a necromancer, I'm a witch, bitch. Your eyes. This is probably the most important part of this episode. Your eyes. And the eyes are like those of Guido. Yellow cat eyes. Could that mean that Guido, for all her hatred of witches, is a witch herself, or inhabits a witch's body. Guido is a witch herself, or Guido inhabits a witch's body. It's still not entirely clear which body of Guido is the real one. The one from the casket or the one that she uses on the daily. We still don't know fully what the curse is. She might have been cursed to inhabit a witch's body. Right? Entirely plausible. Your eyes and your runes, which is interesting because runes, those runes are something that we see on Ashav. And have we seen any other mages? I'm not sure. Could it be that Ashav is also somehow a half-witch or something like that? Ashav is half-witch or something, hence runes. Unless the distinction is witches and mages, and they're like two sides of the same coin. We haven't seen any female mages, so I guess that would be it. Like, Ashav is a male witch, and male witches are called mages. Could be. I don't know. You are a witch, indeed. How could I have unwittingly invited a witch here? This is interesting because it kind of implies that a witch needs to be invited to enter some premises, and it would explain Fanora's little ruse, right? To cause the necromancer to invite her, because otherwise she would not be able to infiltrate the mansion. Maybe, I know. That's usually something true for vampires, right? That they need to be invited. Maybe the same is true for witches. I know. Yeah, her beauty has seemed chilling, almost otherworldly indeed. Interesting that it also implies that witches are not entirely human, are not entirely of this world. There's something more or something in between. Interesting. Why do you think I took a hostage? You can't resurrect someone without a part of their corpse. Right, so you cannot resurrect someone from ash. You need at least something. You need at least a bone or a hair or something left of them. Interesting. And yeah, she doesn't care because... Not initially, I thought that she doesn't care because she just legitimately doesn't care about Johann. That it was just a ruse. Again, it was part of the ruse, rather. But she doesn't care about the situation because she knows that Johann is just gonna get out of it unscathed. No stopping him. Combat models. How do you take a human body and turn it into this thing on the right? I have no clue. The other undead with like an axe head embedded in their head or spikes. Okay, I can understand it. But the big guy? And yeah, no matter how much you tinker with them, they're just strays. They're just working on auto or semi-auto. And besides that, they're just shambling corpses. Not much of a threat. Few people wish to become undead, knowing they'll fall into the void. Even fewer would put themselves in a necromancer's service or control. I thought that what she's going to do now is release this weird vapor, which is going to sever his control over those undead. And she's gonna say, hey, this motherfucker ripped you out of the cycle of rebirth. And he's just gonna get torn apart by his own undead. I fully expected that to happen. But no, not quite. Even knowing everything, some still offer themselves to necromancers, yeah. And those death knights did offer themselves willingly to Fanora. Some cool designs. The middle one with the like slanted weird helmet. That's a design from Elden Ring, isn't it? In general, I'm getting some heavy Soulsborne vibes from those characters. Like, mixture of Elden Ring, the guy on the left and up top would be completely not out of place in Bloodborne, the girl on the right, Dark Souls, right? Great designs. I guess because of the like all-encompassing gothic aesthetic, that's what Soulsborne games usually also veer into, and this is also very gothic, so you know it has to match because it follows the same aesthetic. And there's plenty of them. Yeah, the bearded man has to be saved. The rest is just free game, and yeah, that's what maintaining your army of undead can achieve. But you maintain them well, and they will serve you well. This is such a funny scene. A girl with an axe and a maid with some sort of a pole arm just throwing themselves onto this undead abominations. Easy. And yeah, there wasn't really any other way to stop them. Kill the body, and that's the only way to stop them. Nothing else will work. But I'm not finished. I'll remodel your body into the ultimate warrior right now. This is another great example of the fact that she doesn't actually care about her. He cares about her beauty. And if his priorities are temporarily shifted because he needs to stay alive, because if he dies then he won't bring beauty, well, she will serve as a tool to keep him alive. And that's it. That's her entire purpose. He's not revering her, he's not, I don't know, doing things that you would expect a man who loves her dead wife to do. Right? He's like, oh, I need something to defend myself with. You're gonna do. No, not a moment of hesitation. Thankfully, Johann is here. I love his voice. Right? The severed throat. You hear a little bit of gargling, a little bit of whispering. Cool effect. And yeah, as I suspected, I'm good and dead. When did the witch resurrect you? Oh, a couple 100 years ago, actually. Yeah, I've been undead this whole time. Undead can't get over physical death without necromantic maintenance, right? They do not, they cannot, whatchamacallit, heal themselves. They need to be healed by the necromancer. Not so much Johann. Yeah, I'm not just any undead, I'm a witch's undead. And those are different things. I don't need maintenance, I can maintain myself. And for the sin of pissing off Fanora, death is too good for you. Did he actually cut off his fingers? Or just ripped off the nails? I know, they're bloodied. No eyes, no nose, no lips. That's a really good job, Johann. Also just white bone on his mouth, not even a trace of blood. And you, policeman, sir, turn around. I'm gonna do a crime. And yeah, and you will need to consent to a contract spell. Just a promise won't do. You're gonna have to make a contract with a witch, my dude. but it will save your beloved. I thought here that it's just inside of his head, that she somehow got inside of his mind or whatever, and they're gonna torture him mentally, or they're gonna sacrifice his soul to the deity of death in exchange for freeing the other souls to go back into the cycle of reincarnation or something like that. But no, it's real world. It's real world, and he just became Fanora's familiar. You're gonna get all the magic necessary, and you're gonna be just a battery, just a maintenance station for all those other undead. And yes, you will fall into the void. What did you expect is gonna happen to you when Johann said a fate worse than death? Her illegal resurrection, yeah, she's gonna have to keep a low profile, but she can be legitimized. And again, sure, he feels torn, but out between consigning her to the void and resurrecting her, the latter is a little bit more appealing, isn't it? It would be a different matter if she was free to go back into the cycle of rebirth, but she isn't. So, right between those two, it's better to resurrect her. I quite enjoyed their dynamic. I enjoyed the dynamic of Johann and Fanora. Johann is possessive of her, she's possessive of him. It's a very toxic relationship, but also kind of weirdly romantic. I don't know. It's just cool. Like, I probably wouldn't like to be in a relationship like that, but I'm glad for them. I'm happy for them, that it works for them. And you can clearly see that it does. And yeah, you get your just deeds, whatever the term is. Just desserts for hurting Johann. Exactly. For a moment, I thought that they're just going to use the Necromancer as a battery to keep the other undead alive. And, alive. And what I mean by that is I fully expected him to be reduced to just the bare minimum. Right? Cut off his limbs, and just magically keep him alive, suspended on a wooden frame somewhere in the mansion. Just keep him alive so that he can maintain the other undead, and give him a semi-auto rule that he has to do that. And he doesn't get to walk around, he doesn't get to experience the sun, he doesn't get to die, he just is the hub for Fanora. Fanora feeds him magic, he feeds magic to the undead. That's his punishment. Comparatively, though, he got off easily. He really did. So far, right? He can still walk around and is somewhat alive, right? He can smell the flowers, for example, taste the food, etc. What awaits him after death, though, well, that's not so rosy anymore. But he got off decently easily for now. I fully expected him to just be turned into furniture that keeps the other undead alive. This is also interesting. We see all those witches with some sort of a tattoo under one of their eyes, around one of their eyes. And Guido also has it, which really leads me to believe that Guido is a witch somehow. In some degree, she's a witch. Maybe just in the body, maybe actually a witch. I know. And we're gonna meet Meguca, the masked dude. The Witch and the Demon Sword opening act next time. So, So no Frieren. Good episode, right? Make no mistake. I enjoyed it very much, and I enjoy it for the world building as well. We know even more about the undead. We know what price they have to pay. We know more about the witches, right? That their characteristic is the eye and the runes, right? It served to expand the world just a little bit. On the surface, it was also a cool episode. We get Fanora show her true strength. We get Johan to show his true nature and true strength. It was cool from even just that, hype standpoint. There wasn't any extremely stellar animation or anything of the sort, but it was still cool to see the Death Knight just rip into those undead. I still love the style, those cat-ins that we see with Fanora and the Death Knights behind her. That was cool. But I am left wanting. I am left wanting a return to Guido and Ashaf. Not because I dislike Fanora and Johan, absolutely not. I really did enjoy them. I hope they appear in the story again. I really like their chemistry. I really like them as individuals. It's cool. It's cool by me. If we see more of them, it would be interesting to see how Guido interacts with Fanora. Maybe Guido would try to kiss her. Maybe she would try to force Fanora to lift the curse. We don't know. Maybe they already went through that. Right? It would be cool to see that. But I am left wanting more Guido and Ashaf because that was embedded, I guess, as the main story. Right? The main story is Guido looking for the witch that cursed her to undo the curse. And together with Ashaf, they're doing like a body cup routine, traveling around, solving the case of the week, or case of a fortnight, really, with every arc taking 2 episodes, seemingly. And that was what sold me on this show. That was what I keep expecting from it. This was kind of ripping me out. It would be different if Guido and Ashaf were still involved, if they were to appear here in this episode, for example, or if they were to help conduct the investigation. Something like that. Instead, for 2 whole episodes, they were completely sidelined. Completely and utterly. So I cannot help but feel like those 2 episodes were not filler, but kind of fillery. We got some details about world building, about witches, necromancy, which might become relevant in the future, but as far as the story itself goes, it did not progress the main story whatsoever. It did not even progress the main characters whatsoever, because I still do not treat Fanora and Johan as main characters. Main characters are Guido and Ashaf. So, in that regard, it felt kinda empty. Right? Like, we took 2 episodes to get rid of a necromancer, and the necromancer has been gotten rid of, and we are essentially back at episode 3. Right? Like, you could reasonably just skip episodes 4 and 5, and assuming Guido and Ashaf returned for episode 6, you would lose nothing. Unless the things we learned in this episode actually become properly relevant, which I'm not sure if that's going to be the case in the span of this show. Maybe in the span of the source material. I don't know. I'm unfamiliar with the source material, so I can't say. Anything else? I think that's it. So, to sum it up, as in a void, those 2 episodes were good. In the span of the entire season, they felt kind of fillery. I don't dislike that I've seen them, but I would like to be back to Guido and Ashaf now, if we could, please. And yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it for this episode, but maybe you guys have something more to add. If so, say so in the comments down below. What did you think of this episode, of my reaction, my theories, stuff like that? No spoilers, please. Spoilers can go to my Discord here, also in the description below. Like this video if you did, subscribe to be notified of future videos, not only Majo to Yajuu, but also Magia Record, the finale is nearing. Freeren, Shangri-La Frontier, Metallic Rouge, plenty others coming in the future. Click the bell to be notified of to be notified when I go live, because I do stream sometimes. Support the channel if you want monetarily on Patreon, linked down below, where for $10 a month you get early access to non-seasonal shows like Magia Record, and for just $1 you get a role on the Discord and a place in the credits. You can also support me directly on YouTube via memberships, super thanks, super chats, stuff like that. And if you don't want to spend any money whatsoever, you don't have to. Share my content, spread the word, it costs absolutely nothing and helps the channel a lot. And now, with all of that out of the way, that's gonna be it from me for today. So as always, you guys do all the good stuff, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Cheers! And here's my wonderful Patreons: QB, Without a Net, Survivor, Zayrin, Dr. Watt, Akamancer, Marsh, UK Ally, Fassel, and Hans Peter. And you can join them without having to consign yourself to the void.